a semente do amor. Segue em frente, não se apavora. Se na vida encontrar de sabor, vai saber esperar a sua hora. Às vezes a felicidade demora a chegar. Aí é que a gente não pode deixar de sonhar. Guerreiro não foge da luta, nem pode correr. Ninguém vai poder atrasar quem nasceu pra vencer. É dia de sol, mas o tempo pode fechar. A chuva só vem quando tem que molhar. Precisa aprender esse é Deus quem aponta a estrela que tem que brilhar. Ergue essa cabeça, mete o pé e vai na fé. Manda essa tristeza embora. Pode acreditar, um novo dia vai raiar. Sua hora vai chegar. Às vezes a felicidade demora a chegar. Aí é que a gente não pode deixar de sonhar. Guerreiro não foge da luta, nem pode correr. Ninguém vai poder atrasar quem nasceu pra vencer. É dia de sol, mas o tempo pode fechar. A chuva só vem quando tem que molhar.
Na vida precisa aprender esse
é Deus quem aponta a estrela que tem que brilhar. Ergue essa cabeça, mete o pé e vai na fé. Manda essa tristeza embora. Pode acreditar, um novo dia vai raiar. Sua hora vai chegar. Ergue essa cabeça, mete o pé e vai na fé. Manda essa tristeza embora. Pode acreditar, um novo dia vai raiar. Sua hora vai chegar. Sua hora vai chegar. Sua hora vai chegar. Ergue essa cabeça, mete o pé e vai na fé. Manda essa tristeza embora. Pode acreditar, um novo dia vai raiar. Sua hora vai chegar.
Senhoras e senhores, bom dia.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. The University of Itajaí Valley is going to start the Science Day. Please be welcome. Feel welcome by everyone involved in the organization of this great event. The Science Day is an event that has its goal to promote the interaction, scientific, international, between researchers from universities and partners from the international ecosystem, aiming to advertise and develop the international organization and to strengthen the cooperation of scientific cooperation and looking for solutions in cooperation between countries. It's an occasion in where researchers and teachers and graduates, as well as other people interested on the topic, get together to establish contact and exchange ideas through this. During the event, the themes are of interest for the science and society. On this edition of the Science Day, we have an international perspective, adopting a hybrid format with remote sessions in the morning and face-to-face in the afternoon. This format aims to reach a great number of participants and attract researchers from different parts of the world, looking to promote the convergence between research groups and strengthen the international scientific cooperation. At this perspective, the program contains a series of panels and scientific meetings, discussions, and a relaxed environment, and exchange of information and experience and collaboration in research, top-notch research. We thank the participation of all the authorities in this opening. We would like to highlight the presence of the magnificent Dean, Professor Dr. Valdir Sequinel Filho, the uh, excellent Secretary Marcelo Felix, the President of the Foundation of Research, Dr. Fábio Wagner Pinto, and of the Vice President of the Foundation Univale, the Vice Dean Research and Post-Graduation, the Professor Dr. Rogério Correia, and the Vice Dean of Graduation, Professor Dr. José Everton da Silva. We thank the attendance of other authorities, teachers, researchers, uh, and all the participants. This event is sponsored by FAPESC for research and from Santa Catarina and Beer House Special Beer. Besides the support from Uninov and realization from Univale. Ladies and gentlemen, we invite to give your welcome to the participants and authorities, the Secretary of Science Technology from Sector, Mr. Marcelo Felix. Right. Good morning, everyone. I would like to initially salute the Dean Valdir Sequinel, my friend from a long time. I had the opportunity to work with him and had him as my advisor when I was the president of the participation in Itajaí. A great hi to Mr. Sequinel. I also would like to salute my friend from college and doing a brilliant job in front of FASP. And there must be more than one Fabio because he is everywhere watching all the good initiatives on science, technology, and innovation from the state. And in the name of both, I would like to salute all the authorities, teachers, and deans, and everyone participating from this event. And in name of the Governor Jorginho Mena, and I would like to welcome. My wish is that the Fourth Science Day is an event of great success. I'm sure it will be, not only because I know the people involved, but because an alumni from Univale. I was graduating in Univale in 2002, and I know how competent Univale is developing people, projects, and initiatives, and the impact that the university has, not only the region that it is, not only in Itajaí and other campus, but in Santa Catarina State as well. Governor Jorginho Melo is a great incentivator of science and technology and innovation, uh, focusing on development. As a matter of fact, that he created the technology of science and technology, while the entities demanded to an office, a universal office of innovation related to its gaping. But as he was aware of the importance and it's his vision of future who wants to be connected to the state, that more than a cabinet of science, technology, and innovation, the state would need to have a secretary full focus to this theme. Then he created this secretary basically with two fronts. The first front is for the state of Santa Catarina uh, consume these technologies, you really use these technologies so it could improve its services provided to the society as a whole, for the citizens, for the entrepreneurs, for students, researchers, but especially for the taxpayer. So this is an important front of acting from our secretary. The governor Jorginho, he repeats systematically that it will be worthwhile invest in technology and innovation every time a life is going to be saved by a public investment. And really, and, and it could really save a life. This could be another goal is the creation of public policies by the economic development through innovation. And from this pillar, there is a group of initiatives that are used. I'm sorry, the connection is breaking up a little. Okay, about innovation through research connected to connectivity and in companies internationalization. That somehow it is interchange with the international experience on the great bottlenecks for the development of Santa Catarina State on the part of projects, initiatives, and the Center of Innovation Centers in front of this policy, where the governor, Jorginho, has proposed to. I think I lost my connection. I think I lost the connection a little, right, Meta? Yeah, it frozen a bit, but now it's coming back. Anyway, I'm finishing here, only to say that this is a second pillar of acting of the Secretary of Science that we have been dedicating also uh, uh, with Fabio, as I have been telling you, who is a great partner from our of initiatives. Well, I finish here. A great success to the Science Day, to the organizers, and always putting the state of Santa Catarina available to the good initiatives to promote initiative and science, and that would be related to the purpose of Jorginho's governor to promote economic development, what we believe it will be a good impact in people's lives. I am once more available for you, and I appreciate the opportunity for opening this event. Thank you, Professor Sakinel. Thank you, Fabio. Thank you, everyone who honored me with this opening. Good luck and good event to everyone. We thank the words from the Secretary of Science, Technology and Innovation from Santa Catarina, Mr. Marcelo Fett. We invite the President of Help and Research, Professor Fabio, to give his words. Well, good. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Dean Valdir. In the name, good morning to all friends from Univale. Marcelo, also my great friend from the government. Good morning. First of all, it's a pleasure to be here available in person. I'm only available to one or two, but I I really want to be present in the events. And yesterday I was happy enough to be in Criciúma, now virtually with you in this new way of learning how to deal with people, but also open new possibilities and the availability to listen to experiences from abroad and to see the experience of Brazilians that are the highlights around the world. And that makes us see how they want to do it and how they're and their effort and ideas. It's a unique experience. And now from 3 or 4 weeks, a little bit more, I was with Professor Paulo and Professor Marcelo yet in the Legislation Assembly in Santa Catarina, together with the Congressman Napoleon. We have organized an event with FAPESC, with professors from Delaware, and I'm happy to see that they are also in their program today. And we have this opportunity for us to listen the participation from all around the world through uh, experts, through the experiences that can be used here in the area. From our part from the government state, through the Fundação Univale in Santa Catarina, Marcelo is an excellent speaker. He speaks very well. He reflects very well the thoughts of Governor Jorginho, promoting science, technology, and innovation. We are an arm of the Secretary, where we execute and promote basically 4 lines of work in research, innovation, and the events like this one we were doing today, and the scholarships and from and scholarship for the specialists and government agencies. From these initiatives, our intention is to promote good ideas, as you're going to see here, good professionals who went to get the opportunities maybe out abroad, but why not to have ideas like the great companies we have in Santa Catarina who are strongly promoted by research and innovation in the state, and that are naturally available, and the Tupi, and many others in the region of the north of state, and the regions of the south of state, as well as the great producers of brakes and milk and other productions from the state. Using science technology promoted in the state by the universities of the CAFE network, from the federal network, and so on and so forth. I hope it's an excellent day, a very productive day that we can exchange lots of experience with the people we're getting in touch. And this way, FAPESCs will always naturally be available to. We are at Park Alpha in Florianopolis, but always available to the deans, professors, obviously from the students, graduation, post-graduations, and the graduates, to promote and develop science, technology, and innovation in the state. I wish you all an excellent day and excellent event. We take the words from the president of the Fundação to support to research and innovation, FAPESC, from Santa Catarina, Professor Fábio Wagner Pinto. We invite for its pronouncing the Dean of the Universidade from Vale de Itajaí, Professor Valdir Sequinel Filho. A very good morning to everyone that are following us. I would like to salute very happily, very enthusiastically, the authorities that spoke before me, my dear friend Marcelo Fett, our secretary from Science, Technology, and Innovation in Santa Catarina, Fábio Pinto, our president from FAPESC. I would like also to salute our vice deans, Professor Rogério, Professor, their names, their names, to salute all our academic community, our directors, coordinators, teachers, students, all of us, of our guests that honor us with your presence, to the deans of CAF, our President Luciana Sereta, and also saluting in a very special way and caring our dear friend and ex-president of FAPESC, Fabio Zabot, that will be following, mediating the panel with international researchers from Japan and Singapore, who we had the opportunity to meet in last November when we were in an international mission involving institutions from Santa Catarina and the state government. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm immensely happy that the University from Itajaí Valley, a community institution about to complete 50 years in pro of the community, we start today the 4th edition of the Science Day. This happiness is doubled by one more opportunity to bring scientific knowledge outside the university and to see the results of researches echoing Academy of Science. The Science Day is an important moment to make science democrat and connect different knowledge areas, because we know science is not made alone. And that's through this value exchange of experience that we have new ideas, we find answers, and expand the universe that is always changing. By interacting with new researchers, we find the energy and livelihood that sometimes are dedicated to research, making our own abilities matter. As we debate with experienced researchers, we gain invaluable values. So it's an advancement that is of to proportion us. That's the great difference from Science Day Anniversary. Get together professionals from different cities, different areas, and different nationalities, strengthening the importance of an engaged science, innovative, that will continue the sustainability and the improvement of human condition. To receiving virtually researchers from other foreign universities, many of them we have agreements and double degrees. The Science Day opens another possibilities of studies. Therefore, in the name of the whole community academic community. I would like to thank the availability and kindness of the invited researchers of sharing with us the results of its research, their researches and professional experience. I would like to salute and thank especially Professor Dr. Rogério Correiro, our Vice Dean of Post-Graduation and Extension, our Manager of Research, Professor Fátima dos Campos Buza, and Professor Regina Hostins, besides the other members of Vice Team that have helped to the realization of this event that we start now. Initiatives like this is strengthen the reception of the university and the community, being extremely relevant to science research and its potential social reflexes. I finish wishing that everyone enjoy this day that has been prepared with immense care and the opportunities that should come from here. That we may always break barriers, expand connections, and develop essential projects to evolve in our society. A great salutation and an excellent event to everyone, and thank you for the attention. We thank the words of our magnificent Dean, and we thank the authorities that are part of our virtual board. Right now, we're going to start at the panel, okay, it's research, innovation, and entrepreneurship of Brazilian researchers in Japan and Singapore. We'd like to introduce in this moment as a mediator, Professor Fabio Zabontazzi, a member of the Statual Education and president of FAPESC from 2021 to 2022. Now, we invite the mediator to give his words and proceed with the panel. Apparently, yes. But I have already connected to the other. Everything all right, Professor Fabio? We are seeing you. Okay. We're still in the background, right? A very good morning. And for panelists who are with us in another countries, good night. We are here to work in the Fourth Science Day promoted by Univali, the panel Research, Innovation, and Entrepreneurship, the case of Brazilian researchers in Japan and Singapore. We're going to ask our panelists so we can start our panel. Dr. Ricardo, Dr. Fanny, Dr. Mateus, that must be arriving. Mateus came from Japan, so he took a little longer to get here. But now you'll be welcome. I would like, in name of Univali, in name of the Dean Sekinel, thank your participation at this panel and thank the availability that you from you that I mentioned on the beginning. I gave good morning to everyone, but good evening to you. We used to play at the backstage. They're coming from the future because for them it's already 7, 8 o'clock at night from the 22nd. But thank you very much for attending to this. We will now. I will give you the word. So we'll give through an order of presentation. But the idea is for you to talk about your experience in Japan, in Singapore and Japan. around this topic of innovation and entrepreneurship that you have been living through the years. This is a traditional event from Univale. And this panel in specific, it comes together with the mission, Japan and Singapore, that's FAPESP. At that moment, I was at the presidency of FAPESP. But FAPESP has promoted through the universities in Santa Catarina to our public universities and communities, universities from the state, where we see the managers of this project in Japan and Singapore, and we met you in this mission. And from this mission, the idea is that we can approximate the people and bring the research and applied research to to this top-notch technology countries and to our institutions. So I'll give the word to the professor, the doctor uh, Vinicius Ricardo Boff de Oliveira, who is a bachelor in chemistry through the Federal University of Santa Catarina. And a curiosity between our three panelists, all of them has this passage through Santa Catarina. Both are doctors through in polymers and chemistry through the Federal University of Santa Catarina, and Johannes Gutenberg University in Germany, co-founder and director of the graphene materials in Singapore, and member of the 229 technology. He's an expert in graphene in Singapore. So, Dr. Ricardo, please, thank you very much for being available again. I'll give you the word. I will control the time. Unfortunately, we need to restrict the time. We heard the panel in Portuguese, but there is another room where it's been translating to English. So please feel free to do your speech. Thank you very much for inviting me, Fabio. In Singapore, it's always an honor to present a little bit of our story to people in Santa Catarina in Brazil, of course. And as you said, Santa Catarina is an important place in my life where I have lived for 10 years. And it's a place that I miss a lot. I have family there and everything. But today I would like to tell you how I ended up in Singapore and how did I do the transition from the university as a university professor and becoming an entrepreneur, and to tell you a little bit of this journey. It's a roller coaster, but it's fun. It's fun. It's a joy. It's a roller coaster. Let me see if the slides are here. No, I think so. Thank you very much. So our story starts in 2014 when I moved for good to Singapore. I came here in 2013 as a visitor professor. Then I have received the invitation to work at the University of Singapore. Just so can you have an idea of Singapore, if we compare it to Itajaí, it's not much bigger than we think. It's just a little bit bigger. For who knows Florianopolis, Singapore is the size of the island of Florianopolis, but it has 7 million inhabitants. That's the greatest difference. So I came to the National University of Singapore and US to work with the development of graphene applications. So the first thing I've done was try to buy graphene, but we have bought more than 200 grades from graphene, and they didn't have graphene. It was graphitis. So we said, okay, let's make our own graphene. And that was the beginning of the story when we are at the university. And that's what started to this idea of creating a methodology that we could use to license the patents that the university had from its work. But we were very successful. We created a methodology that we knew that it had value, and we made a scale moment. So that's the first step, is getting out of the laboratory. So you can see on the top from this flasks, 10, 20, and 30 milliliters. and pass to make reactors of 10, 20 liters. That's the first increasing scale. And then the second important thing is when we were sure that this could be a business. And here in Singapore, it's a little bit different. The university has a great support and provides great support and can be a partner of the partners. It still is our partner as well as the government of Singapore in the creation of the company. So this space we have here that we used to call uh, the 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 pilot plant, which is a laboratory, they used to pay for the rent of the space, for the employment salaries, and we were a company selling graphene. Joe, so you can notice how the support is different in Singapore from the institutional point of view. And then at this time, this initiative that we had at the time, Professor Antonio, which is one of the founders of 2D from the Graphene Center in Singapore, uh, one of the great centers of graphene in the world. He works with graphene since 2002. So we left from this first stage of laboratory and we went to a stage of pilot plant, as we call. Then we went through the first stage of investment. This was in 2019. We have received first offers of investments, and we have chosen the Brazilian company CBMM, who is a producer of niobium, because of the synergy of niobium and graphene to produce especially electrodes, battery electrodes. So we built up the factory. We closed the factory, this one that is on the background. And then we ran the first time in February 2021, and then we closed the factory. We had the factory closed until August 2020. But from there on, we started and haven't stopped yet. We have used this first investment to validate the technology. Uh, so we go from producing 300 kilograms per year to produce a ton per month of graphene, which is our production capacity. Then in 2021, we decided to bring other partners so us could strengthen our commercial reach. So the first stage was technical validation. Then the second, commercial validation. We brought two investors from CNN, which is a Brazilian company, and Sojitz, that is Japanese, to help us commercialize the product. In a general way, we can consider that we are a graphene producer of high quality. Today, we call it a green graphene because we use it as a source of graffiti. We use graffiti, a source of graphene as source. So we do not use a mineral or synthetic graffiti. We use recycled graffiti to produce graphene. And here Singapore has a lot. So besides with the support of our government, we also count with the people support, which is our director, industrial director. He here has run a Motorola and HP manufacturers. Is the VP of manufacturing. They used to manufacture in China and Taiwan. It was the director. Also, Professor Costia, who is a professor here in Singapore. It's our counselor. Patrick is very well known in Brazil because he was the director of innovation of Braskem for many years, and he's also in Singapore now. He is one of the people who we clear out jobs quite frequently. Our factory today has the capacity of production of, but we still work very strongly on the norms from graphene to create materials. In Brazil, we were able to get ABMT to translate this norm that we have created in 2017. It has been translated this year. So there is already a Brazilian national norm standard for graphene quality. Just so you can have an idea of what it looks like, it's this black powder. What is it for? We want to solve all the problems of the world, since from the environmental degradation, water access. But what is the contribution that can really give? We can make better products. We can draw. We can build. and improve the efficiency of products using the properties from graphene, especially on the area of electrical conductivity, weight reduction, mechanical strength, sound absorption, abrasion and corrosion, among others. I would like to show you some real products that are already in the market with our graphene. It's quite interesting. The graphene used as additive in lubricant oils from this Singapore company. It's already selling in 11 countries. And they said that the graphene helps the lubricant helps to reduce the consume around 13%. I didn't believe, but they have tested now in more than 20,000 vehicles, and it's been proved by the report from the UV that yeah, graphene helps to protect the engine and spend the less fuel. Another product that commercialized with our graphene in 2018 is this helmet from this Australian company. They sent to Australian army. We see that graphene improved the ballistic properties. So they sell the same ballistic protection, same price, but it's 10% lighter than the standard helmets. And obviously, we have used the same methodology because it's from the epoxy residue to, to produce wind turbines, electric bikes, surfboards, beach tennis rackets, battery casing, and rebars. These are some projects that we created and we are bringing to the market as with our graphene. It's based on everything we have learned. On the part of Brazil, we have a strong partnership with the company Chromax in São Paulo. Uh, they made a master batch, which is a concentrate of graphene to be used propylene patent 9, where we gain some properties of 20 to 50% of increase with amounts of graphene of between 0.1 and 0.2. That's why the amount of graphene matters, because we can add just a little bit and have a great gain in property. In Santa Catarina, we have the honor and the happiness to release with just paintings uh, this proof flooring where the graphene is used to improve the resistance and thickness of this painting for flooring. We're still working with them to develop other areas, including UV protection. So this is only the beginning. We also would like to thank Angel for this great partnership. On the battery field in Japan, in Maseda, we had uh, work with this great Japanese company for batteries and another company from Singapore, startup, that to show that graphene improves the efficiency of batteries, lithium, or it's a great areas of graphene. Recently, we have signed with Embraer an agreement to develop um, absorbing materials of hydrogen to increase the potential of tanks. And to finish, after all this story, what I would like to show you that we moved from the laboratory. We went through many growing stages until we get to the market and consolidate, let's say, um, our company selling graphene commercially. And these are my sentiments of what we have learned in this way. So the first thing is the matter of the language. So you have to speak the language of your clients. That's why in our company we have people who speak 11 languages. We need to speak English, which is the language that connects everybody, especially in Singapore. We have to speak Chinese, we have to speak Japanese, Malayo, Thai, Portuguese, Spanish, French, and etc. This is very important. The more languages you can speak, the more opportunities you have. Second, it's to like to believe in your dreams, believe in what you're doing. This is very important because you have many barriers and you will question yourself, but you have to make it real. It's no use to dream and do nothing about it. This is another thing. You also should read a lot. As I'm a technical, I'm a chemical. So we read lots of scientific artists, we learn technically things, but our part of reading it's pretty weak. So we need to learn. There's a lot of things for us to read, not to make mistakes. For example, from Professor Bill Wallace, discipline internships. If I read this before I started, I wouldn't have done 90% of the stupid things I've done. It would have saved me lots of time. Something else, you have to work with people. So there are two things. First, you should work with people who are really aligned to your dreams, to your goals, with people who are competent. So there's something important, and investors they invest on the team much more than in the technologies. You must fail. You must fail fast, and you have to learn with your mistakes. If you make a project, it doesn't work, the product doesn't sell, so move on and go on. And you also have to work lean, which means light, but in the sense of not having much expenses, not many expenses. But it doesn't. It's not worth it to work in an expensive place. It's better to work at a cafe to save money. But you need to have people to answer fast to your customer. If your customer keeps waiting, you lost. In a general way, those are the messages that I would like to give you. If you're thinking about to be an entrepreneur and to make this transition to bring to the market technology, what can I tell you? It's very good. It's very gratifying when you get all the way to the end. You suffer. It's bad, but it's good. You have to fight a lot, have to struggle, but it's very rewarding. People, thank you very much. I am available when you want to reach me out. That's my email. Talk to Professor Fabio when we can connect. And if you want to visit Singapore, you're more than invited. Thank you. Ricardo, congratulations on your speech. I think this experience shows to everyone who's following us a little bit of this journey that is to research and entrepreneur outside the country, but also shows inside your journey this transition from teacher to researcher to entrepreneur, which is something that uh, we have tried to reach in Brazil from this interaction with universities, but it's not an easy journey. This is a journey from to take this knowledge produced in the academy to users outside the academy to reach this market. It's a journey that's really complex, and all this process goes from an international action. You have not only done it, but you also have done it in a different country with many different experiences. That is very motivating. And it's true, but sometimes I think that abroad it's easier from the entrepreneurship point of view, but personally it's harder because you're not at home. In the end, we have some time to questions and answers if we can stand and the time to change uh, uh, Ricardo that is in time. So we have like 20 seconds to Fanny and Mateus. I would like to get the guys that are following now. If you want to make any questions, do it through the chat, and at the end we'll try to answer it. I will ask now to Dr. Fanny to give her a speech. She is an engineer in aquaculture by the Federal University of Santa Catarina, and she has a doctor through the University of São Paulo, USP. She started as a researcher from technical services in Singapore, from the Polytechnic Temasek, and the Department of Students from Asian Pacific chapter, the World Society from Aquaculture. Dr. Fanny, thank you for availability. We have got to know a little bit of your work in Singapore. So please tell us a little bit to our public who are following us about your experience. Thank you, Fabio. Good morning, everyone in Brazil. Here we are in the evening. I would like to thank the Professor Regina and Professor Zekinel for the opportunity of participating here and to share a little bit of the experience we're having here in Singapore. I will share Let's see. All right, I think it's okay. I hope you can see it. Yeah. So um, the topic is research, innovation, and entrepreneurship here in Singapore and Japan. As Professor Fabio said and introduced me, I am graduated in aquaculture and engineering, and work here at the Polytechnic Aquaculture Innovation Center. A little bit of my academic formation, as Professor Fabio mentioned. I'm a graduated by UFSC. I have a bachelor in aquaculture engineering and also the master's in the nutrition area. I am from São Paulo, so I'm a Japanese descendant, the third descendant. So I'm the grandchild of migrants. So I went back to my hometown, São Paulo, to continue my doctor's degree and also postdoctor degree, both in the area of nutrition of fish, from sweet water, salty water, and also shrimp. After finishing high school, after finishing the postdoctor, we always have to look for a job, right? So where are we going to work? I have always wanted to have a professional experience outside Brazil. So since high school, we used to call it different names in Portuguese, but I have always studied English because my mother is a person who had a view, and she made us study English, thinking on the future. And I think it was a great difference because if you want an experience abroad, you will need a foreign language, and English is usually the one who can give you this possibility, as Ricardo has already mentioned. So I came here. There was this position. I'm sorry, here in Singapore as a researcher, and I have applied to the position. And at the time, the question was, "Where is Singapore?" At the time, I didn't know where it was. Was it in the Asian Southeast? Is it Malaysia? Is it Thailand? Actually, no. As Ricardo said, Singapore is a country. It's a city-state. It's an island of the size of. I like to compare to São Paulo. It's half of São Paulo city and also half the population. You can see here some iconic pictures from Singapore, which are the vortex, the airport. So as soon as you arrive, you were received by this imagery. And there's also the hotel in Marina Bay, which is like it's emulating a ship on the top of three pillars. And as you can see on the dot, it's the mark where is the university, not the university, the Temasek, which is a school, the equivalent to a high school, to a technical high school in Brazil. In some data about Singapore, it's a new country. It got independent. It's independent for 40, been independent for 58 years now in August. They have four official languages: English, Mandarin, and Malayalam and Tamil, which is one of the dialects in India. The ethnicities are mostly Chinese, a little Malaysians, Indians, and others ethnicities, which are us, the foreign people. The population is of around 5.6 million people. It has an area of 734 square kilometers, which gets bigger every year because Singapore brings sand and increases the size of the island because the population is getting bigger. So it has a high demographic density, almost 8,000 inhabitants per 1,000 square kilometers. It has a GBT of 757.7 Singapore dollars, which is around 4 reais each Singapore dollar. And the amount invested in research, innovation, from 2020 to 2025, it's around 2 billion Singapore dollars, and the income per capita is around 133,894 Singapore dollars, and its human development index is the 12th in the world. So Singapore has only a short, a small piece of land available for development of agriculture. So we import around 90% consumer bans, which by mostly there are food. So the goal for 2020 that the government has established is what they call 30 by 30. Produce locally 30% of the nutritional necessities until 2030. And it's at this setting that it showed up why Singapore is a developed country and it's very focused in innovation and not much in the primary production, which is the case of aquaculture, which is the creation for the of fish and plankton. So this with this goal of the government until 2030, they have created the center. In 2019, they have created the 10th Innovation Center that they call Aquaculture Innovation Center, which is a center of innovation in aquaculture. And all these 10 centers, they are tied to some research or teaching institution. Aquaculture, Temasek Poly. It's it is because Temasek Poly already had the infrastructure uh, to do the research in the area of aquaculture. So our vision and mission is to close the loop in sustainable, super intensive aquaculture to enhance food security and resilience. This we have seen right after the creation. There was the pandemic. 2020, there was the pandemic. So this lasted 2 or 3 years of pandemic. There was lots of interruptions, as in many crises of supply chain to deliver import and export. And Singapore was a very vulnerable country to this kind of things. So it was much more urgent the production of local food. So we act with the development of technologies. We provide consultancy and training to the local aquaculture. The sector is actually still small, just around 100 producers of saltwater fish, basically, and an annual production of around 5,000 tons. We also share research venues with another university, the Nanyang Technological University, and we also have an experimenter with 114 cement tanks in an external area, which is a different kind of research. The areas that we work more oftenly are nutrition, fish, shrimp, and crab pathologies, and other fish. In general, we also work not only with nutrition and health, other areas as genetics, reproduction, treating water and effluent, the integrated system of aquaculture with the energy and space use, and the smart technologies, which is the use of sensors, the Internet of Things, and automation to increase the productivity and sustainability. Here on the corner, you have some pictures of our center and the projects we currently have, or at least the ones that we have highlighted, which we have in research and development. It's what they call mud crab, which actually is not a real crab because a crab doesn't have this last leg to swim. For biologists, those are another kind of crab. Uh, So nowadays their farming is done in an extensive way, close to mud. But the idea here is to make it super intensive because we don't have enough space. So it has to be intensified and verticalized. So it's a recirculation aquaculture system. The water is used again many times. So they try to save space and water so we can produce more food. This way we do research on the reproduction, on the production of ration, or crab food for the crabs, and also aiming the environmental stability because the culture of crabs is used doing fish that could be directly being consumed by humans or it's waste from the fishery. So they say they breed juveniles so they can be fattened and produce what we call here in Brazil soft crab. And another projects that we have of reproduction of fish, shrimp, food efficiency, resilience, test for resilience to illness, aiming to improve the productiveness of the section. We have a visit of the Brazilian Technical Mission in November last year. Professor Fabio was in the picture too, and trying to have international collaborations, not only in the area, but also in other parts of the world. And that's my presentation. There's a QR code now. We don't have paper anymore, so this is my card. This is the QR code. You have my contacts, my email, telephone, to anyone who wants to get in touch through my curiosity or for an internship. Anyway, we can help. And as Ricardo mentioned, I think that for us who are talking about science, it's very important. And I think that in Brazil, in the universities, the university students, they don't have the level, the English level. They do not emphasize English much. We are able to read and write, but not much as speaking. So whoever have is interested to have experiences outside Brazil, but even in Brazil, the English is mandatory. Well, thank you very much. In the many languages we are speaking here, English, Malay, Thai, and Tamil. And now, therefore, I end my presentation. Annie, thank you very much for sharing this experience with us. We continue with Ricardo, and we share this experience in Singapore, which is a city, state, country, amazing in terms of development, and it has brought to us the growth of territorial growth of Singapore. We've seen this in practice, and then we have seen that Singapore has grown not only populationally but also in area. Its territory has increased. The island has gotten bigger, and we see a lot of technology in all the processes from feeding and the food production to the industrial level. And a matter that we have always talked and that has also impressed us a lot is that all the vertical structures that you have there in Singapore. Ricardo's industry is in a, I don't know if it's called a condo, but it's a vertical building, industrial vertical building with many industries, with trucks, buses that go inside the building and go until each floor where they have many industries inside. And for us, this is something surreal. And another contribution that Fanny brought us is the importance of the language, the importance of English to this kind of research and international relationship. Well, thank you very much. We'll still have at the end some time to have some interaction with questions. So I ask you to please follow us while I give the word to Mateus. Mateus is graduate and also a doctor in physics, which is the sister of our Santa Catarina State. He has a doctor's degree, and he's undergoing a doctor degree in the Kyoto University Physics Department, and his object of study are liquid crystals and the system of condensed atomistic condensed metals. So he's going to talk us about a little bit of different experience, the experience from Japan, and we who are in Brazil sometimes look at it to Asia, and this distance for us is really big. We are about 13 to 12 hours away in time, but we but there is a lot of culture and also a lot of distance. And when we have this mission, the Singapore and Japan itself, it's more than 8 hour flight. So it's also a big territorial journey. So Mateus, please, I'll give you now the word so you can tell us a little bit of the other side from Japan, which is your experience too. Thank you. Thank you very much. The slides is being shared, I think. Not yet. No. Now I've got it, right? So I would like to thank the event organization, the invitation. Thank you for having this journey here to Kyoto. Well, for starters, we're, we're talking about science. So I'm going to talk about the concept of the Japanese language, which is called Chogi Fugetsu, which are for ideograms for the Japanese language that they mean flower, bird, wind, and moon, and it's a concept that express the appreciation of nature through artistic pursuits such as poetry, painting, and calligraphy. It's a way of art. So it brings us to think that science is also a form of deep appreciation of nature. So science and knowledge can reveal to us the overlooked properties of natural objects and the universe that, of course, you don't have to know about electromagnetism or optics to appreciate the rainbow. But I believe that the scientific knowledge, with scientific knowledge, the nature can reveal many details to us. So we're celebrating the 115 years of Japanese migration to Brazil. I would like to start this exhibition, let's say, of the science here in Japan with this message. And I will tell a little bit the story of how I arrived in Japan. Well, I'm Manezinho. Manezinho is a person from Florianopolis. I finished my high school at Santa Catarina's Federal School. I have also undergone the Federal University in Physics, uh, and at UFSC, the Federal University. I have also had a master's degree. I had a scholarship from FAPASC. Inside of FAPASC, I did monitoring, scientific initiation. I took advantage of everything UFSC could provide. I'm very thankful for the Federal Institute and UFSC. I have undergone my part of my doctorate in UFSC as well by CAPES, but I have always wanted to go back to Japan. I came to Japan in 2015, 2016 through Science Without Borders program. It was a program that brought many Brazilians to to places outside Brazil. And ever since I came back in 2016, I wanted to go back to Japan. So I was thinking, how could I go back to Japan and etc. And this way, I was able through the Max scholarship, and it was from this scholarship that I could continue my doctor's degree at Kyoto University. It's been already 1 year and a half that I have been here. So here in Nagoya, it's a Kyoto place. It's the symbol of the university. Well, This is the Japanese Max Scholarship for Sports Technology. Its name is Max. It's a scholarship that is available to every country, but most countries had diplomatic relationships with Japan. And this scholarship uh, foments the scholarships with Japan in many levels. You can go as a researcher without being related to any curriculum. But if you want to go undergo a master's or doctorate degree, you can also come. You could also come as a teacher and learn a different didactics. You can come as an undergraduate and do the 5 years of Japanese graduation. You can also come to learn Japanese, the Japanese language, or you could also undergo a technology college. So there are many modalities and there are many benefits from it. Uh, with all the expenses paid, they pay the trip from Brazil to Japan, your your application fee, everything. And even if you don't know Japanese, they offer the course, Japanese course, as a language course through the time you were here. So even if you don't know Japanese, one language you can study at the university, a high level class, and it will help you to get adapted to the country, to get inserted to Japanese culture, which is the goal of the scholarship. And from this, if you have any relative or student that is interested in studying abroad, especially in Japan, that's one of the reasons that we're going to discuss now. I recommend this scholarship. It's a very renowned scholarship. With this, it's possible to live up to 10 years in Japan from graduation to master's, doctors. And if you want to follow an academic career, if you want to invest in Japan, if you want to work in the Japanese industry. So, why choosing Japan? Ever since I've got here in 2015, Nagoya, I felt that whenever we leave Brazil, we leave the country, it's been very hard. You have to to break in lots of barriers. It's a personal challenge. You enter and then you overcome things, and this brings me a great personal growth. So Brazil is this country that I've chosen for being far away, for being a different culture, for having a different language from English, which I already spoke, but that's why only the reason why I could go to Japan initially. So Japan was initially a country that I could see myself. Well, and to continue my academic career here in Japan, Japan invests 3.5 of its GDP in research. It's a country that it's on the top of scientific research, and with this, they have a state-of-the-art equipment. They have leading edge facilities and institution facilities. I have brought here two examples from the physics area. Actually, the Fugaku supercomputer is not physics in itself, but it's used to make calculations that are very complex, that take a long time, and it could be like a simulation that would forecast a climate event, like or something like this. So this computer has costed more than $1 billion, and it's the fastest computer in the world. So if you need any calculation, a simulation, or an average calculation, this computer, it takes about, instead of taking like 2,000 years, it takes 3 days. It's a surreal performance. It's the fastest in the world. And another example I brought today is the Super Cavalcante, which is a cylinder full of water under the ground, with its walls covered by the detectors. So they're trying to observe the neutrino, which is a particle from physics, because it's very difficult to be detected because it doesn't interact with the other particles in a uniform way. So it needs a pressure very tuned to be able to detect it. in this full of water container. They're even thinking about making it bigger, making a bigger chemical, which will be 1 billion liters of water. And with this, we can forecast that we can answer many matters of the universe, like the mass of neutrine and how long it takes from the proton. And we take that it's from 10 to 34 years. And it was has been okay found out has been found through this experiment. And after getting your academic career in Japan, the security of your job through the private sector, like Sony, Panasonic, Mitsubishi, Toyota, Nintendo, they are known uh, for supporting research and development in international universities. All of this is allied to a high quality life. Personally, I like this public safety and respect for others, and also for the property of public and private property, the cleanliness of nature. And you can also practice any kind of hobby that you would like to. It's crazy here. Uh, Basically, it's a very attractive country for me to continue my academic career. So let me tell you a little bit about what I do here in Japan and my interest in physics. Japan has a long and successful history in material science, like, for example, semiconductors or high performance materials that are used in aerospace and biomaterials, batteries, as well as Ricardo mentioned before, graphene and things like that. And inside the science of materials, the physics of condensed matter is responsible to study some of the phenomena of these materials, called interdisciplinary science. But in particular, we are interested in the soft matter physics. So the object of the study of the science are objects that can be biological, organics, or inorganics, like proteins and polymers, nanoparticles, and etc. And all of this are materials that are flexible and deformable. They're different from the solidity, and they have the ability. mm, uh, And the interesting about this material is that they can organize themselves without no external influence into intricate structures and patterns, and it's a self-assembly. And these due to the collective behavior of the constituents from this material. So all the macroscopic answers that we have from the materials, it's because of the microscopic interactions from these constituents. So we are in the physics of the condensed matter. We are interested in how this material will change of phase, how dynamic it is, the temporal evolution of the material from solids to liquid, or from the protein into closed, or from the DNA to be soluble or insoluble. How does this phase transition happen, or the phase separation? What is the mechanism behind this transformation of standards uh, on these structures and textures and topologies from this material? And in particular, I am interested in the more theoretical part and simulation, computational simulation. I admire the experience. I didn't have the chance to work with experiments in this area. Well, so instead of the soft condensed matter, I'm more interested in liquid crystals. As the name says, it's a material that offers some properties of intermediate properties between liquids and solids. It will show, for example, fluidity, but it's also can demonstrate a certain organization of its molecules as a solid. And this makes that liquid crystals are explored in a huge application technology array. Who has never heard of liquid crystal television or mobiles with liquid crystal? It's something we're very familiar with in our day-to-day life. But in particular, being a little bit more technical, these liquid crystals, they are divided in many phases, intermediate phases inside the liquid crystals. And the simplest, let's say this way, is a nematic phase in which the molecules they interact through physical relays, and they can move in a space that when all of them points in the same direction. For example, in the image, but let's say that a half to up and half down. Half of the molecules will point up, half of the molecules will point down, and this is the nematic stage of the liquid crystal, which shows uh, interesting textures. For example, when you, as you can look from the microscope, and when we think about this stage of the matter, 100 years ago, it was being found out that why not having a material where all molecules would face up and not half up and half down. And if the molecule have the electric pole, which is a separation of the electric pole, it makes that the molecule is polarized. And so if you apply an electric field, it will go to the direction of this electrical field. With this idea in mind, how would be the material of an electric liquid crystal that all molecules would point to the same direction? So 100 years ago, it was thought, but it has never been demonstrated experimentally. It has never been seen. But recently, a Japanese group found out through experiments and material that phenomenon can occur, which is called ferroelectric pneumatic liquid. And, and this material has it's very responsive when you apply it to uh, liquid crystal. So the plutonic and or to harvest energy uh, according to the piezoelectricity. You could use for that storage. So it's a very promising field. It has many optical answers that are very interesting. And this material has been discovered in 2017. So it's as if I was here at the right time, at the right place, so I can start working with this material. It's a very hot topic right now, and at the science of liquid crystals. And my work to contribute with the advancement of the science in this area and to reach the science frontier, to make it a little bit clearer how it happens, the origin of this new state, it's a new material, so there are new questions. So we want to know how are the dynamics, if there's a stress, if there's a pressure, and the properties. What is the electric conductivity? How it transfers if I increase the temperature? Can I make this material in a temperature that would be like an environment temperature to use in a mobile, in a computer, or is it something that needs to be cooled off? So I may be able to answer all of these questions doing this through simulations, computational simulations, numeric simulations, to understand how this new state of matter is created. And with this material are very promising in the technological area. And lately, I have also been really interested in machine learning. So that inside of these simulations, as there are there's a huge number of molecules and atoms, we can observe patterns and structures that are hidden inside of this great amount of data. And using these techniques of machine learning, we can get some extra information. So I think this is it. This is a little bit of the work I do here in Japan. Thank you very much for your attention. And I'm open to questions. Thank you, Mateus, for the experience of your trajectory. It's a very interesting trajectory for who wants to be inside this academic environment, an international experience through graduation, with scholarships from a public entity, in the case of from Santa Catarina FAPESC, and also from the international scholarship from Japan, to be able to continue your doctor's degree. I think this experience can inspire our students that want to achieve this opportunity, to take this opportunity to generate a more profound academic study, bring international experience on the process, and being able to contribute in a significant way to our society. And I'm going to ask you 2 or 3 questions because our time is very short, but all of you are inside your schedule, so thank you very much. In an online event, we always have this care, but I have a question for to Ricardo. Who who are those questions from all of us that we have? Why going to Singapore to open the company? How did you end up in Singapore? Why Singapore? And if you could have created this company and created this company in Japan, I'll tell you that the initial idea was not to open a company. I came to Singapore as a professor. I left. I was a professor at Rio Grande do Sul Federal University. I was a professor from the government. I came to Singapore to the Nanyang as a visitor professor to work with materials that they got together when they break it. And then I met Professor Antonio at a barbecue. He's a Brazilian. And he told me, well, I need a, a person that understands chemistry to license our patents and license graphene here. So me going to Singapore, it was to work at the university. The creation of the company was a consequence, but I think it's very difficult for this to have happened in Brazil for some reasons. Because firstly, for how difficult it is for the public institutions to invest in entrepreneurship. We still have many legal barriers to overcome, and also the lack of resources, which is what we have always complained. In Singapore, just to have an idea, so Matheus, if you want to have to know, to me, it would be interesting. My partner, Professor Antonio, that still works at the university, he has created a center with Professor Posset that is called IFIN, which is a center for intelligent functional materials, where 70% of the center is machine learning and AI for materials, with a financing of $250 million. This kind of financing we will never get in Brazil to be able to make the advancement of science, let alone for companies. Brazil is stepping towards this, is walking toward this. It's much better than when I left 10 years ago. Nowadays, we see many initiatives in the part of entrepreneurship, but when I left 10 years ago, it wasn't as strong as that. It was only a few brave people who would fight against this flow. I think it's answered. Thank you, Ricardo. Another question that I think I will ask to Mateus and Fanny to have a little bit of their experience from the view of Japan and Singapore. We know that there are differences between research and investing in Brazil and in other countries. In your case, in your experience in Japan and Singapore, in your view, from this experience that you had, and especially it's interesting because you have this characteristic. You have a passage through Brazil, but it is from Santa Catarina, so you can compare this. What kind of incentive and programs and strategies that you see there in Japan, in Singapore, that can incentivize the research, entrepreneurship, the relation between university with the solutions of practical problems. What can you say? What that is important that you're living there, or that you could see there, that is different, or it's not available in Brazil, in Santa Catarina, and that we could learn from them to bring it here? So I give Mateus the words, please, firstly. So then I would like Fanny to answer that. I think that the most that I felt the most difference is internationalization first. So this is one of the main points of the university to increase the level of internationalization. Uh, so looking for students' dorms, looking for students in diverse areas, and so here's a community, multicultural, uh, with a different background and culture. The ideas are different, the projects are different. So I think that the first step is to try to bring more students, even from Latin America or neighbors, and have classes in English and Spanish, international teachers. I think this is the first step to elevate the science and technology in Brazil, is also to reach internationalization. Thank you, Mateus. Funny, please. Well, thinking on the differences, I think Brazil is very rich in natural resources, and Brazil is almost zero, and Singapore is almost zero. So that's what they say. If you have a lot of something, you don't valorize it. You really miss it when you don't have it, so you valorize it. So you go after it, they invest a lot. And what they do have is labor. So they invest in people's quality. They invest in people's education. So here, the education is not for free. Nothing here is for free. So because if it's free, nobody gives value to it. So you pay like $10, but you pay something for public education. And the research is done with the taxpayers' money. So there's a great responsibility towards what is invested. So it's like this: I'll give you this money, but you have the responsibility to deliver such results or improvements or services or whatever you're proposing. There is this commitment. Not that in Brazil there isn't, but in Singapore it's much bigger in terms of. So you write a proposal and you say, "This is what I'm going to deliver." On the delivery date, you have to report. So, and they will ask, say, "Hey, look, you told me you were going to deliver this. Did you deliver?" So, no, I don't think I will pay you. So it's not like they give you the money and then you deliver. It's the opposite. You spend first, then then reimburse you. So if you do not meet deadlines, they will not fully reimburse you. So there's this concern of investing in the quality of people. The education is from when they are little, since the kindergarten until university levels, and the relation between uh, insti- research institutions and companies is much closer than in Brazil. It's much, I don't know if I can say that it's easier, but it's less bureaucratic. There is some bureaucracy, but it's less than in Brazil. So the companies can, uh, or the university can reach, make this collaboration, sign an agreement, and then of course there's the NDAs. You cannot disclose everything you say, and then they sign an agreement, and it's the Asian culture. You have signed it that you're going to deliver, so you have to deliver. Come what may, you have to deliver anyway. There are days that you work with no time to finish because you said you're going to deliver, so you're going to deliver. There is this difference of needing to do it because we don't have it. We cannot rely from other people, and there is no invoice. This is the need that they have to always make it and do it better and before everyone else. This is something a little too much for Brazilians, but I think that's why that they can reach a larger development. Then, besides the side, because Brazil is too big compared to Singapore, which is half of the state of São Paulo, of the city of São Paulo. Guys, we're going to stay one thing more for sure. We'll have other interactions, and I would like to say in name of the Dean Sekinel that Univale is available to your institutions. We have a body of researchers that is amazing, and we can develop joint research projects, collaborative joint projects, and have student and research in exchange. It's part of Univale's DNA, and we are available for anything you may need. But unfortunately, our time is up. We need to finish this so we can continue this great event, and we invite everyone who's staying with us to remain at the Science Day. We'll have some events nowadays online and face to face in the afternoon. So we have many things. We have much information exchange to generate today. I would like to especially thank to Ricardo, to Fanny, to Mateus. Thank you very much for the time you spent, for exchanging this experience with us, to sharing with us this experience you have. I would like to say that Univale recognize internationalization as an essential process of its learning process and teaching process, of developing research, of the demands of society. And we want every time more to make it bigger and bigger, this process bigger and bigger. So in the name of all the organization, in the name of Professor Regina, or Professor Rogério, Professor Seknel, thank you very much, all of you. And I also would like to thank to the whole public that has followed us during this period, that was that had this learning with you. I would to thank in the name of these people with us that could get valuable lessons from this process, from this journey from you, that could generate fruitful. I can also thank the students and researchers from Univale that has followed this process of research and innovation from Univale, and to the deans Kyle from Uniplac and Mars from Furby, who has been with us November last year. They're with us today now at the presentation. And besides me and the dean Sekinel, Marcia and Kyle are also here, and send their regards to all of you and participate of our journey. And lastly, I would like to thank to the Dean Sekinel for from this mission, from this challenge that has been proposed by the state of Santa Catarina, by FAPASC. They could continue this process, bringing challenges to the researchers and institutions and the students themselves from Univale, and make this interaction proposal with you. So thank you very much to Sekinel and to the Univale in general. Unfortunately, we don't have time to continue. I would like to be with you throughout all the morning, but I will give the word back to Mayara so she can continue with the event programming. Thank you very much, guys. I would like to thank you all the speakers, our mediator. And this transmission is going to be finished right now, so the participants should enter again at the website to change the language and the room to be in. Okay, the link is next to is right here on the side in the chat. Thank you, and see you in a bit. Bye. Okay. Alisson, tá tudo certo para... Só posso abrir os outros sites já para continuar?
Só um minutinho, já confirmo com ele, tá?